Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the SoCal AI Talks podcast. My name is Luis, and along with my partner Edgar, we talk to founders, owners, and entrepreneurs about their field of expertise. Today, we are talking with Cheryl Albright, who is the owner of Soul2Soul Yoga. Thank you for taking the time, Cheryl. How's your day going today in Saratoga?
Good, thank you. How are you guys?
Great. Thank you again for taking the time. So, tell us a little bit how you got into yoga. We see that you're also an occupational therapist. How did you mix the two together?
Oh, when I have an older brother with autism, and so when I went to university, I looked at schools that had OT, PT, and speech, so occupational, physical, and speech and language pathology. OT was still a bachelor's, so I picked the path of least resistance. And about 6 years later, I was working for a school, and I was just kind of like, is this it? It's kind of already getting bored into the field and wasn't sure what I was going to do, and had started programs and not finished them and all of the things. And I saw my accountant was like, "Hey, I need you to take a course for a tax write-off this year. Go take a big one." And I was like, "Okay." And so back in the day, so this was like 16 years ago, Advance used to send out the circular. It was like a paper, felt like newspaper, but it was this little magazine for allied health professionals. And in the back would have continuing ed opportunities. And I saw Yoga for the Special Child, which is now Yoga for All Abilities, and thought a week in Florida sounded great. And here we are, 16 years later, still using it. And yeah.
So that course was aimed for children. Is that what I got?
Yeah, it was aimed for children with disabilities, variety of disabilities. They didn't have anything that was diagnostic specific, but I thought I was going to go learn how to work with the kids holistically, and really you learn how to work with yourself so that you can work with others.
Gotcha. And when we talk about the blending of yoga with occupational therapy, how how do you see those two going hand in hand together?
Well, I get that a lot. I just found out that one of my presentations was accepted as a poster, but for the World Federation of OT in Thailand next year, and it was about using yoga as a treatment modality, and in this case for behavioral health, because I work there too. As far as blending the two, it was very natural. OTs, we learned how to break down movements, we learned how to break down activities, we learned how to help people move better. And so it was just kind of a natural combination. So what can we do to enhance quality of life? It depends on what the person wants to get out of it, right? So there's 8 different limbs to yoga. It's not just the physical postures. And which pieces do people need as far as their holistic journey? And so the biggest way that I do is I create wellness plans. So a way to check in with yourself to see how you're doing emotionally, your nervous system. Are we at a really heightened state of arousal? Are we, not wanting to move? Where are we in between? And then what are we going to do to keep yourself well? What are those activities that bring you joy? How do we keep you from, having some kind of nervous system breakdown? And it could be for a variety of reasons. It could be chronic health conditions. It could be developmental disability. It could be a neurological issue. The label doesn't actually really matter. So it's how are we going to keep you well so that hopefully you never have to see me again.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that, right? Because you still teach yoga now. Are you still teaching yoga to primarily children?
No, it's a lifespan. So
Okay.
I'm probably most known for my work with developmental disabilities. However, I've recently been, we've had a contract in a behavioral health center now for a couple years. HCA entertains me. So, it doesn't, that's the beauty of what like the yoga practices bring. The label doesn't matter. You can kind of strip that away. I may need to put it on an eval to get insurance to pay for it. But the reason you're coming to me doesn't really matter. And I'd say the bulk of our clients are probably, I don't know, probably like 8 to 20, but anywhere in between. And we have a few outliers. We have one little guy with Down syndrome that's a couple months old, all the way up to, our oldest client at one point was 80 something. So it really doesn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a
Just wanted
huge
to move
range
better.
from start to finish there. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, do you have your own studio, or do you host events at people's locations? It seems like you do a little bit of everything.
It's a little bit of everything. So we are kind of your home health model practice. So we go to individuals in their homes in facilities, contracts, anywhere from doing kids yoga in a preschool all the way up to, like I said, in behavioral health facilities for children and adults. So
And you incorporate other wellness aspects in there. You've mentioned mental health, that kind of stuff. Um, so, do you work with other vendors, or is this all part of your company as well?
just all part of, I mean, I'm employed by one of the facilities, so it versus contracting, but that part doesn't really matter. And then I do host events. Before the pandemic, I was doing really not really healthy, but was doing fun ones like 2 CUs and a beer. And I would take over a brewery and just you come, you network, you meet other therapists in the area in a casual setting. And if you were an OT and getting continuing ed, it would cost a little bit more, but other providers were more than welcome to come just to come network for a reduced cost. We would take over the whole brewery and locals would walk in and be like, oh, what's going on? Um, and those were always fun, right? So teaching and educating, I contract with other agencies to teach. I'm open to contracts for any schools, child development, senior centers. Um, so there's a little bit of just kind of everything going on.
So take us through, you're obviously stay pretty busy. Take us through what a day in your life is. What does your day to day consist of? And just so you know a little bit of background on us, what we do is we like to talk to health and wellness professionals, right? And that includes people like yourself, gym owners, things like that. We like to talk to them about their background, talk to them about how what challenges they face in their business, what's going well, what's challenging for them, and then we pivot the conversation into a little bit of today's technology like AI. So take us through what a day in your life is like. What does your day to day consist of?
So it depends on what I'm doing. If it's a day where I'm actually working in the business versus working on the business, right? So working on the business, we are in the midst of changing our medical record system. So that headache, but
That's
here we are.
huge. I've done that. I've been through one of those.
Yeah. So we're in the midst of switching from one to the other. And so that has its own set of challenges and trying to figure out those things. I help Yoga for All Abilities keep up their AOTA certification so that other occupational therapists can get continuing ed credit for taking their courses. And their 7-year application is coming up soon. So I've been a lot of dumb paperwork. If you just want to dump it into a, project, my malpractice insurance has decided that we needed some kind of risk management. So I've been actually using AI to help me organize my thoughts on that. Like, here are all the subjects that I need to write on. I know the material. I've been an OT for 22 years. I've worked for other facilities. I know you have to have bloodborne pathogens and HIPAA and all of the things, but I don't want to take the time to research everything. So I've really been leaning hard on AI to help me do those. And then eventually I'm just going to sell it to other small practices as well. With lots of fun handouts and things, and AI has been great to help me just stay organized and make it sound professional. So I have a lot of things up here, but it's really hard to get them to spit out. So even before I send out, presentation proposals, I'll run it through either Grammarly or OpenAI or whatever, just to be like, make sure all the tone's the same, make sure it sounds professional, make sure that, all of the things, the grammar's there. And that's been a huge help and time saver because my thoughts go faster than I can type. And so, like, I'll have a general outline and be like, help me fill in the rest.
Yeah, no, it's great for taking lots of information. Like you said, we have lots up here. Sometimes we can't just spit it out, but it's great at taking lots and lots and lots of data and just simplifying it, really, sometimes.
Yeah, and it saves time. I think the new EMR system we're switching to has an AI feature as far as like helping write notes and things. I haven't played with it yet since it's new. I'm just like, I'm sure it's fine. Their
Yeah, no,
system seems simple enough.
It seems like everything now has some sort of AI aspect, other than for what you just mentioned to us for creative, you know, well, actually for big data research and also for, like you mentioned, using it for lack of better word, copywriting or editing, I guess you could say.
Cheaper than an editor.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you using any other
Yeah,
AI
she's a
tools
lawyer.
or? Yeah, yeah, we've got tons of stories with legal. But yeah, I mean, it's great for analyzing all that kinds of stuff. Are you using anything else AI related for lead generation, scheduling, anything that you can automate that you can think of?
That I haven't played enough with that, but lead gen was what is kind of once some of these bigger projects kind of settle down and we're in our new EMR system and I can like bring my head up. Lead gen is one of those things. So we run a variety of different things, right? So we have your OT services, we have yoga therapy services, either one-on-one or through a contract into another facility. There's group yoga classes, same thing, they could be contracted. I used to have a brick and mortar, we never were using it. Like I was getting pulled out to agencies and I was like, that's
Mhm.
just, it's nice to have, but like, no. So we stopped doing that. Plus, the continuing ed piece or education and consulting piece is the other bucket. We do run something called SIB shops, which are a support group for kids that have a brother or sister with a disability. So it's just a fun recreational afternoon. So they get support from other peers that are in the same boat. And that's been really hard to market. And so that's probably my next thing to use AI for is like, how do I make this so parents actually, nobody knows what a sib shop is. And so what other words can I, like buzzwords can I use to put in copy to get people to be like, hey, that's probably a good idea.
Great. Yeah, you're thinking ahead. Yeah, I think we use AI for anything and everything in our business. We used it for our website, for our logo, for this podcast is AI powered, and it does a lot of things on its own, like removes the ums and the hums that we all speak with. So it's great. Like you said earlier, it saves a lot of time. Let's talk a little bit about like your technology. We were looking through your website, and I couldn't help to come across your government contracting link, which takes me to like a Google Drive access request. So,
Yeah, I need to fix. I knew that I needed to fix that. So it's just a capability statement. When you contract with the government, it's kind of like a fancy CV that says what codes you can bill for what
ah,
contracts.
yeah, those coding things. Okay. I was
Yeah,
just
it's a
curious, like,
Google.
what is
I
this?
honestly, I had a WordPress website. I hated it. Every time I
Mm-hmm.
went to go, like the person who set it up with a plugin that I did not like and or understand, and would have to go to AI to ask how to update this, and then you have to update a menu in order for it to click. And it was just like, you know what? We're gonna go to Google for a little bit. We'll fix it later. We just need something that works. It attaches to all my Google Forms. Maybe we'll pick something up later on. But it was just so frustrating every time I had to go in and update something. I then was either Googling or asking ChatGPT, how do I update? Like, it was just, it
Yeah.
was
And
dumb.
your forms, I mean, speaking of forms, I do see a couple forms on your website. There's like a request form, but they're a little bit hidden in there. So yeah, I mean, definitely something AI could help you with too is, making your website a little less I don't know how to say it,
I know
but
Google has Gemini and it could spruce it up. Like it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, yep, that's a project for a later date.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So let's talk.
I'll get there.
I also see like right from your website, it took us, to your social media. Do you have a social media team, or are you doing that all on your own?
I do have that contracted out. That's not my thing. I don't want to
Mm,
sit in front of Canva and it would take me hours to try to, I just, it's, she can do it quick.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think like for someone in your field, it's probably more important for you to keep that client connection, right? And you have a passion for a specific thing that you want to focus on, and that's what you want to spend your time doing, right? And that's what we hear a lot with other people that we've spoken to, that we've done podcasts with as well. Like I mentioned, gym owners and health and wellness entrepreneurs. They like to spend their time focusing on what their passion is, right?
building
Um,
those relationships.
yeah,
Mm.
building those relationships. And so that's why we talk about AI, and we want to just kind of pick your brain a little bit about what your biggest pain points are in your business, and what you could, like, if you could wave a magic wand and get rid of like one of your biggest pain points, what would that be?
That is a good question. Marketing has always been a pain point. I never, I dabbled with everything in the beginning, like every entrepreneur. I tried just about any from print to
Facebook
traditional to,
ads and all that.
I never really, they're expensive and the click to
Maybe
pay, like
that.
I just didn't really, like I would boost a post every once in a while, but it
You never saw
wasn't,
any return on
because
it.
every time I tried to figure it out, the rules changed and I
I
was
remember
just
playing
like,
with
well,
it
this,
too. Like at one point, I tried drop shipping, right? And
yeah.
I was playing with Google ads or Meta ads, and yeah, like you said, they're expensive. That's the first thing I tell people. I'm like, yeah, they work, but you gotta have money to spend, and we're talking thousands. So yeah, they're
Yeah,
not
I
cheap.
think I was the person that if there was a health fair, I was at it. If there was a special needs event, I was at it. If it was, it was
More grassroots.
yeah, it was a lot of like getting up and speaking and doing a presentation in front of a group or an organization, shaking hands with people, getting out from behind the computer because I wasn't good at that stuff anyway. So it was just like, I'd rather go to the, networking with the local OT association, like all of the things. If there was an event, I was at it. Now, this was 10 years ago and I had a lot more energy than I do now. And so some of it, I mean, now there's a lot of word of mouth. Some of it's based on the insurance companies we actually take. Some of it's, a little bit of everything. My husband and I started a Facebook group that was just like a disability community. And so that brought in like
Yeah,
thousands of people. And so if somebody had a question, even if it wasn't for me specific in my business, at least I was there and I was at least I could give them the right information as far as
yeah.
whatever they were looking for.
That's a great idea because I think you feel that your niche, let's say, is a very tight community when it comes to people with folks with kids with autism or disabilities. So that's a great idea that you started that group and grew it as a community. So you've already mentioned a few things that you see down the road. You're obviously working on your medical record transition. That seems like that's taking up your sleep there. Tell us what else you see 6 to 12 months for your business. What are some goals or trajectories that you are hoping to see?
That is a good question. We just hired a new therapist. I would like to see her be a little bit more filled up. I would like to bring back the two CEUs and a beer and some of that educational piece and just keep diversifying the income streams because we don't know what's going to happen with Medicare and Medicaid. And, keeping those income streams diverse so that, we do get nailed with Medicaid. There's something else to, help floated along. I mean, Florida Medicaid's been a dumpster fire for the past 6 months, and I'm constantly having to put that out. And so, whether it's they're just not paying because they don't feel like it, they're not paying because they dropped somebody, they're not paying because they uncredentialed one of my therapists. Like I could go on and on for like an hour just with
Yeah.
that mess alone. And so, that has eaten up a lot of my time. Once that, so I was like, okay, if, Medicaid, if it's headed toward where it could, then we just need to diversify the income. And so that means putting on an event, every so often, whether it's the two CEOs and a beer, or I present somewhere that's a paid speaking opportunity, things like that. Like I've gotten contracts from, I went to a school in New York City and did a day-long training about yoga in the classroom. Looking for probably more of those opportunities as well, since I'm not the one. So it's not so much tied to fee for service. But and then it couldn't hurt to have a few other contracts. I know the school district reached out again and they don't pay enough. Like, I'm like, you pay less than Medicaid. Why would I do that?
I was trying to look up. I see like a mention of the SIP shops on your website, but unfortunately, there's no link to it. That sounds very interesting because, like I said, that's more community. Obviously, like you said, that's for siblings.
In the beginning, I think it was kind of like the same people were still like coming back each time, right? It never really like kind of grew out. And most of them either knew me or the sibling is a client of ours.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, yes and no, but when I explain what it is, people are like, "Oh yeah, that's totally needed." So nobody knows what the actual sip shop is. There's the link that it goes to is to a schedule that doesn't have, I don't have one scheduled. So I said I was going to take a break for the summer so that I could fix the EMR mess and do some other thing. And then I'm planning one in September. So hopefully.
Okay.
So Cheryl, like I mentioned before, Lisa and I, what we do is we like to talk to I'm a former gym owner myself. I used to own a franchise called Fit Body Boot Camp. I don't know if you're familiar with that in your area. No. Fortunately for me, we bought that from an existing owner right before COVID, right? And so right when COVID hit, that the first shutdown really killed us. So unfortunately, that business went under. But when during my time as a gym owner, there was a lot of things, like a lot of tools, for example, that are available today that I wish I had back then. For example, a lot of like lead generation tools and things like that, right? Especially for marketing. I remember for marketing, we used a company called Gym Launch. Like Luis mentioned earlier, it's one of those things that's it's just, you have to have the money. It's ads, right? It's Instagram ads, Facebook ads, things like that, but you have to have the money to do that, right? With today's technology, like the AI tools that are available, what Luis and I like to do is talk to professionals like yourself and take this call. This call is going to be ran through an AI analysis tool. So once we're done here today, that's going to give us an analysis of potential opportunities that you may see in your business with using or implementing some of these AI tools. This analysis, we're going to send it to you completely free as a thank you for joining us today and for spending the time with us today. But what we would like to do is invite you for a second call if you have like 10, 15 minutes, maybe next week, to go over that analysis. If that's something that piques your interest, we would love to also invite you back to have a discussion about what tools may be available for your business to help you scale that moving forward. Is that something that would interest you?
I'll look at it.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, I mean, it could be tools. You mentioned a few things: lead generation. We talked about your social media, your website. So, like Edgar mentioned, the transcript, the AI tool, catch all those things that we mentioned and say, hey, these are opportunities. We don't sell anything, out of the box. Everything's custom and depending on what bottlenecks or blockers you identified during this podcast.
And then lastly, before we wrap it up here, we want to give you an opportunity to let our listeners and viewers know where they can contact you, and whether that's your website, Facebook. Gives our viewers an opportunity for them to reach out to you for any potential needs they might have. So if you want to let us know where they can reach out to you, we'd be
Yeah.
happy.
So the website probably has the bulk of the information about, there's a services tab and it lists everything right there. If you would like to get in contact with us, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I don't really check Messenger as much as I should. And I have a social media manager who takes care of that. If you need me directly, I would say either text the number on our website or just go to the website, which is www.soul2soulyogasrq.com. My email is the same thing. It's Cheryl at, and then our social media is at Soul2Soul Yoga SRQ. So like I said, you can find my manager on social media. You might not find me on there. Email or text is probably